The past 2.5 years of global pandemic have led to a whiplash in consumer demand and challenged supply chains to keep up. Well, that's led to shortages in goods and even conversely oversupply at times. And the situation remains difficult. 12% of goods transported by ship are stuck. Containers can't be unloaded because ships have piled up outside of ports. That's according to a new report by the Kiel Institute for the World Economy. Meanwhile, the economic climate is changing. Container transportation costs have tumbled as a result. They've halved for shipping a container from China to Europe to $7,000 from $15,000 that we saw at the beginning of the year. And the decline is even bigger for shipping from China to the U.S. It's fallen more than 80%. All right, for more on this, I'm joined by Vincent Stammer. He's a trade expert at the Kiel Institute for the World Economy, and he runs that trade indicator. Vincent, thanks for joining me. So many ships are stuck in port while the economy itself is actually getting worse. Do businesses still want these goods that are in these ships?
Well, the businesses still want these goods. There are still supply chain problems that we observe. They have been easing somewhat, but we are still in a world in which we are in dire need of intermediate goods, for example. What we do observe now, which is changing slowly, is that consumer demand for physical goods like furniture for the home office, like consumer electronics, many of these goods come from China. This consumer demand is slowly easing.
You wrote in your latest report that a cooling of global trade could actually be a good thing for supply networks. Walk us through that.
Of course. I mean, we still observe, as you said, that 12% of all goods that should be shipped by moving ships are currently stuck in some sort of container ship congestion. So they're literally waiting outside of the port to be unloaded. And the hope is, of course, if trade is somewhat stagnating or slowing, that the industry can sort of catch up and reduce this congestion. The same holds true essentially for companies, right? Companies in Germany, for example, or in Europe that are still in need of intermediate goods from, for example, China, they would have some sort of breathing room for warehouses and for stockpiles to increase and sort of create a buffer for perhaps the next supply chain crisis.
At the same time, couldn't this reduce the availability of shipping if we see a global recession coming? I mean, this has been such a back and forth for these shipping companies to go from incredible demand to an incredible fall in demand. What kind of toll does that take on them, and what does that mean for the wider economy?
Well, you're absolutely right. Especially the container shipping industry has been going through very, very significant business cycles over the years. Before the corona pandemic, we saw very, very low freight rates that were an existential threat for many of the companies. Then we saw skyrocketing freight rates, and we are probably moving towards a world where freight rates are very, very low again. Now, this has some benefits for importers and exporters, for us consumers, because we can get hold of goods from abroad cheaper. But of course, some of these shipping companies have to invest in more modern fuels. They have to make sure that scale effects are used in order to be able to still be profitable even when freight rates decrease.
All right, Vincent Stammer, trade expert at the Kiel Institute for the World Economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.